Hello, everyone, and welcome to another talk here. Again, this will be a podcast, which you can check out just about anywhere, and also a member video on YouTube. So check that out there as well. So I've been working a little this month on Nuages. So we'll start out by doing a little playing on it to bring us in, and then we'll talk about some things. So a little playing there up front. So we're going to talk about some things that we can reference and use. And so when we talk about scales, there are really a variety of scales. And oftentimes the way I think about them myself is to categorize them by the number of notes that are in them. So 7-note scales, those include of course the kind of do re mi major scale, and within the kind of that category of 7 notes, there are basically three others, so total of 4, that can really help us to work with different musical issues that might arise, or issues when it comes to composing or improvising, or just understanding, a piece of music and where a certain note might come from, what that might be about. All right, so let's take a look at a few of these. So let's say we have, since we're in the key of G here, we can think about that as one of those, and then we can relate different chords from this one tune kind of to that. Let me see if I can fix this one issue without making a really big kind of popping noise. We'll see. Well, it looks like that may have come through on the podcast. Maybe I can edit that out later. But hopefully it kind of fixes this issue, or maybe it'll just make it worse. All right, so we have the major scale, like we were saying. All right. Now we can also take a look at, let's say, the harmonic major. So it's kind of closely related here. So we're going to play like that. All right. So if you're listening on the podcast, you can kind of hear that the difference between those, or if you're watching this on the video as well. All right, so the difference is that one note, instead of an E natural, that note we're going to have this note, the E flat. Now, what does that do for us? Looks like I kind of fixed the issue here, I think. Appears to be working again. All right, well, we have this A minor 7 flat 5. All right. And that has an E flat in there, right? So okay. Now let's see, every other note in there is also in the key of G. So so we can actually use this type of scale on that. So we could take it from the perspective of, let's say, the A minor. So A minor 7 flat 5. Right. All right, all sorts of kind of strange things going on with this pickup right now. Okay, let's go with that. Okay, that's better. All right, so we have those notes. So we can think about what else kind of sits in there. So we have natural 9, right? natural 6 too. So right, so that little jump in the scale might take a little getting used to, but that's a scale that you can work with there. I think we talked a little bit about this last week too. Now, how about the D7 flat 9? Well, this can also help us with that one. So rather than this note, so if you played from the in the key of D from the key of G, from D to D. All right, we play. That now, if we play G harmonic major from D to D. It's a little different. All right, so that is also going to be pretty compatible with that particular sound. All right, so let's do a little playing, and we'll see how that sounds. So keep your ear out for that moment in the tune. Okay, so there we're thinking about on that chord change. And then when you go to the G, you might go right back to G major. And remember, we don't always have to play straight out of this, but this does give us some guidance on that. And then, one kind of interesting thing too about some of these scales and things is if you play a bebop scale from G, okay, so inside of that, so that's an 8-note scale. So inside of that is the major scale, G major scale, and also the harmonic major. So that's kind of an interesting thing. So you could even sort of think about this bebop scale and be selective about that E. All right, so let's take a look at some other moments in the tune to think about some theory and some fingerboard things. Okay, so we've got a moment where we move from the F sharp minor 7 flat 5 to the B7 to the E minor. So that's a 2-5 to the relative minor. All right, so we could still pull from the same groups of notes. But if we take a look at the harmonic, or let's take a look at the natural minor scale, E minor. Okay, so that's sharing our key signature. Now, when we think about the B dominant 7, now this has a note that's outside of that scale, right? So what if we were to not play this note, but to play this other note instead? Okay, and that could give us a way to adjust to this B7. So that's called the harmonic minor. So similar to the harmonic major in a way. Okay, because it also has that flat 6, but that's already built into the natural minor. Okay, and then it has this major 7 going into there. So we can think of this as the Phrygian dominant. Okay, so it's kind of similar in concept to the other dominant scale that we had, and then kind of backing up a little bit more, we could think about the same scale on the F sharp minor 7, flat 5. Now, I just want to emphasize too that we don't need to always conform to the specific scales that I'm using, but these are a good starting off point for playing, and then you might make other choices as well. Okay. So let's play a little bit on it, and we'll try to listen for those moments. Okay, so there we have, and I used that MIDI neck there, so I'm not sure if that all showed up, probably not, but so there are some moments where we can use quite a few scales. So far we've thought of 3 of them. We have the major scale, the harmonic major, and the harmonic minor. All right, so let's take a look at some other moments in the tune and see if we can come up with some other ideas here. So kind of having, let's say, maybe an opportunity to just kind of impose one in there. So we want to think about this 4th one, right? Because we have 3 so far, and So the fourth scale type comes out of the melodic minor scale. So a couple instances there where we might think about that. When we play let's say the E minor. So I'm playing E minor 6 here. Now, remember we came out of this use of the harmonic minor, and then we were focusing a little more of our attention in that moment on the 2/5 part of that when we were using that. But I think I did in the improv there. I think I did play a little bit of the harmonic minor on the E minor just to illustrate that, if I remember correctly. But what if we were to change gears coming out of that B7, going to the E minor, and we wanted to play the natural 6. So the natural 6 is a more stable tone on the minor chord or major. Okay, whereas the flat 6 is a little unstable. It's quite a bit less dissonant, or less consonant, excuse me. It's more dissonant, less consonant. Okay, get 6 here. All right. Well, can we incorporate the major 7 in the natural 6? Not that we have to, but we're thinking about this melodic minor. So let's go for that. So we have that sound. Okay, so there's an opportunity to use the melodic minor. Now, another instance, it's pretty common to use it on the 2 chord when the 2 chord is dominant. So let's check that out. So if we played, let's say, this sound. So that's called the Lydian dominant there. Another note not showing up. All right, so there's a moment. Where we have that. I think I didn't start things in the right order when I loaded everything up. I think that's what's probably causing the problem. Okay, so that's another spot where we might be able to use that. We have another moment in the tune where we have the C minor to the F7. So there's another moment. You might think of that as a 2/5 chorus. I think we talked about that in the analysis, but that's another spot where you might say, oh, especially on the dominant part of that whole thing, is to maybe try that Lydian dominant kind of sound. So we really do have quite a few places where we can play that. Can also use it for in the dominant, any of the dominant 7 kind of moments. Or the 2/5 kind of moments. let's say something like that for the D minor 7, flat 5. Because this is the moment we have a 2, 5, 1 to the C major. So it can kind of, it's not too hard to get away with that natural 9 there when you're going to major. So that's coming out of melodic minor. Okay, going to the G7. So then you might even use the altered scale. Again, just kind of throwing some of these things out there for you to try and check out and everything. Okay. So we see that there's plenty of space for these different scales and things. So let's do a little more playing, and we'll listen for some of those moments. All right. So now let's talk a little bit more about, go a little bit further with something else that we talked about a bit earlier, which is thinking about the bebop scale. So we talked a little bit earlier about, okay, what if you, let's say, thought about this bebop scale and reduced it down to the harmonic major. So they just removed the E natural. So we talked a little bit about that, right? So now, what if we talk about this Phrygian dominant in sort of a similar way. So thinking about this more as a D sharp than an E flat, and then replacing the D. So if we have, again, the kind of the bebop scale, and if we remove the D, okay, then we can kind of arrive at this from this Phrygian dominant, this whole sound. So so we could take that kind of that bebop scale and just think about that E flat as either an E flat or a D sharp, kind of depending on what it is, and then it replacing either the E or the D depending on the circumstance. So if you're going to minor, you have the D sharp would replace the D. Okay, if you're going to G, you have the dominant, the 5, but you're wanting to include a flat 5, then you replace the, think of this as an E flat replacing the E. was a little, kind of perspective on how that it might work out. So you might experiment with that in your playing and everything. And so the melodic minor is a little more similar to the major scale, right? Because you only have half steps and whole steps. You don't have augmented second in there like you do with the harmonic major and harmonic minor. So it's it has that sort of sound. It doesn't have that kind of larger gap in there, the augmented second, that the other ones do. All right, so there are kind of the four scales that I say are really particularly helpful and useful to study, and also see how does they relate to certain chords and things as you play through tunes. All right, so I'm gonna play for a few more minutes, and as a reminder that this is available as a video. This talk is available as a video on the YouTube member area, and that's youtube.com/fretprince. And also, if you are already a member, Lessons and Talks, then check out the podcast as well. I can kind of carry that with you, use it as ear training. So, all right, do a little more playing here, and then we'll call it a day. thanks so much for checking this out. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you all in the next one.